sad story. I'm shot in the chest and I know I must die.
How was lunch? Okay. And if you're still hungry, we got plenty of sandwiches out there. If you don't like them or you don't want them, I'll take them home. Those will play here. I'd like to reintroduce you to Dr. Lozano. She's coming back on stage to give us an additional talk on a very important topic. And what can I say? She's obviously a very good presenter. So here she is. Give her a round of applause.
Okay. The clapping never gets old. I'm just kidding. Well, this is the part of the presentation that really starts to talk about what we as caregivers can do for ourselves. And again, I stay focused on this whole issue of reality versus perception. It's a very simplified look at how silly we all can just be in our interactions with one another. But remember, your perception is your reality. So it's very difficult to change that idea or that perception. So we talk about things about what bugs me, not necessarily what bugs me. But you have to ask yourself what bugs you. One thing that bugs me is when I'm at a red light, I'm about to get to a light and it's green, and the car in front of me slows down to like 4 miles an hour. And I realize at that moment that I'm not going to make that green light. And then right as the light turns yellow, the car speeds up and gets through the light, and I'm stuck at the red light. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That bugs me. The other thing that bugs me is when you fill out a bank deposit slip, which I don't do that anymore. Now I'm taking pictures with my iPhone. Back when I fill out a bank deposit slip, and I go up to the front, and there's something not filled out right, and he or she makes me go back to the end of the line to fill it out right and get back in line. Now, most bank people don't make you do that, but for some reason, the bank where I bank at the credit union, they make you do that. So those are kind of things that bug me. So what do? What can you do to manage the things that really bug you? Because there's got to be things about the people that you're caring for that really, really bug you, that bother you, that irritate you. What are some of the things that you can do to kind of prevent that? And that's what I'm getting at here. Because the only reason that these things bug you, or that you even react to them, is because you're not controlling your own emotions. Are you going to be able to change someone else's behavior? Would the world not be a better place if everyone would just do what we thought was best for them? Your children, your spouses, your significant others, your workers, your co-workers, your bosses, your mother. Exactly, my mother. Wouldn't it just not be great if it just happened that way? Then we'd all be bored with each other too. But that's not the way life is. I mean, this is just a... Sometimes you're so frustrated, this is the extent you're going to go to park the car. Anger is one letter short of danger. I think, I was a softball player, which is probably why I could easily hurt my knee like I did. I played softball probably most of my career through college since I was 12 years old. I was a third baseman. I played all year round. I was a traveling player too. After I graduated from college, I played forever. And when I first started playing softball, it was before Title IX. And those of you know who Title IX is, it was before they even had women's sports in high school, junior high. And when I first started playing, Title IX was just starting. And my father wanted me to, he knew that I was pretty good, and he wanted me to try out. So he took me to this league that was just women's softball, and they only had 15 to 17-year-old girls, but I was 13 and he thought I could make the team. So I made the team, so I thought I was all hot stuff, right? I was 13-year-olds playing with these older girls. But I had a really bad temper because I did not like to lose. So every time I lost, meaning every time someone got to third base and I didn't get them out, or every time somebody hit a ball or they came to third, next thing you know, I was in the ground fighting. It was bad. So one day my father just told the coach to sit me on the bench and leave me there. He didn't care if I was there the rest of the season. And I asked my dad why he did. How could you do that? I'm a good player. I need to be out there. He goes, you're not a good player when you act like that. He said, the anger that you have out there is going to destroy your ability to perfect your character. And when we are angry, our character is not really quite at its best, is it not? How many of you are at your best when you're mad? Raise your hand. How many of you, when you get angry, really helps you and those people around you? What's the issue with anger? I learned this. I don't have any children, and I chose not to have any children. I chose a long time ago that if I couldn't just leave a bowl of food for whatever was living in my house, I didn't want to have them in there. And so for me, a cat was the deal. They're not needy. They want you to leave them alone. My cat of 18 years just died 2 weeks ago. And my dog too. I had a dog, but I've always made sure that I didn't have needy dogs. There is nothing in my house that's needy except my plants. Once a week I got to put water in them. Other than that, no neediness. I don't do well with it. Now, my nieces and nephews, when they were growing up and little, they were needy. They'd come stay with me, they're needy. So I finally figured out that when they threw little fits, if I would just ask them, what do you need? Tell me what you need. And eventually they would tell me the truth. I need him to quit looking at me that way. I need my brother to let me play with his game. Bottom line is they needed something. And I had to figure out what that was and provide it for them. So for yourself as a caregiver, when you're feeling that anger, that frustration, and it gets to a point where you realize that you need to do something about it, you have to ask yourself the question, what do I need? Does that make sense to you all? Yeah. Now, what's the answer going to be?
I need my mom to pay attention.
You need your mom to pay attention to me. Is that going to happen?
Probably not.
Okay, so what do you really need? So she pays attention to you. Is it going to last? No. What do you need?
Accept her the way that she is.
Go beyond that. Accept her the way that she is and change the way in which you react to her, but that's not what you need. What is it what is your little heart inside you saying, I need?
Change yourself. Change me.
But that's going to help. But what is it that you need? Think about it.
Bad grief. Stay away from my mom.
Stay away from your mom?
No.
That's good. A break. You're at that point when you can't resolve that you have to step away from the situation. You ever see those in sports when people start fighting, like baseball teams or hockey teams? Eventually there's got to be somebody in the middle that does this, right? Before they kill each other. That's how you break up fights. The same thing is happening when it's just too much for that one. Now remember, you have to take, to me the higher road is the road. The reason I tell people, look, the one good thing about the higher road is that there's not a lot of traffic there. There's not a lot of people traveling on the high road. Is there not? Or you can do what I say, and I'm like, why do I always have to be the one that thinks about taking the high road? Why can't I just be the bad one? Why can't I just do that sometimes? But in reality, once you determine what it is that you need, and maybe we just need validation from our parents, from a person we're caring. We need some kind of validation. We need someone to tell us to agree with us. Why do we need, is it not fun to have someone agree with you? especially after you've been arguing with them. There's nothing more sweet to my ears to hear someone tell me how sorry they are. Because what does it do for me?
Makes you feel like you're right.
Yes, you answered the question. It makes me feel as if I were right, and we as human beings thrive on that. Oh my gosh, do we not love that?
Even though we're wrong.
See, I told you I was right. I told you I was right. See, I was right. How many times have we said that out loud? How many of you, why does being right make us feel good? Because it validates us. Because that's where we feel we have to get to. We have to get to that point in that relationship where we're right. In our arguments, discussions, even mild discussions, we want to be right. I was at a meeting the other day, Wednesday, and we got in a little bit of a heated discussion, and I wanted to say something so bad, but I had already gotten in trouble the last meeting. So I know that's hard for y'all to believe. But what I did is I opened up my purse and I started to look for gum. And thank God I had some. Because I just focused on the gum. Because I wanted so bad to correct the information that was being distributed and say, this is what's really happening. The only thing it was going to do was cause conflict between myself and the other people there. The people that were, doing what they were doing. And I thought, why do I want to create that? Just so I can prove that I'm right? Even then I was ready to pull out a piece of paper that I had to show that they were wrong. So I just took out the gum and I slowly took it out of the package and I slowly unwrapped it and I put one in my mouth and I started chewing it. And I just enjoyed the taste of the gum, and I almost just left the room, I left my body from it. I had to distract myself from my desire and my need to tell them that they were wrong. What was that going to accomplish? And this is what happens so often taking care of dementia. Let me just say, it happens often in our lives, period, right? With our spouses, with girlfriends, boyfriends, significant others, workers. It happens with everybody. With the lady at the bank, with the guy at the gas station. It happens with everyone. This whole strong desire to prove ourselves right. When I was a kid, I loved to play games, board games, and card games, which is why now I'm a poker player on the side. But I love to play card games, both board games. I loved and absolutely adore Monopoly. When I was a kid, probably around 11, I started playing regularly. With the kids I played Monopoly and Jacks. That was the two games I was always playing. And I never lost at Jacks except once, and I cried for like a week. I was like 16. Isn't that terrible? And to this day, from the age of 15 till now, I'm 53, I've never lost a Monopoly game to anyone. And I've had students challenge me, I've had faculty challenge me, I've had my family members challenge me. I have a process to it, and it works. Now, about 5 years ago, one of my students came up and he said, I think I can beat you at Monopoly. Because he was 22, have never lost at Monopoly. I wouldn't do it. Because I thought it was ego. If I lose to this kid, I can't tell lovely people like yourselves that I've never lost at Monopoly. I'll have to include it now and say I lost one time to my student. Ego. Ego is not always our friend. Self-esteem is not ego. Self-esteem helps to feed our ego, but it's about that healthy ego. And the more stressed we are, you ever heard that saying, with stress you digress? With the more stressed out that we become, we digress. We turn into adolescents and children, and our behaviors and our actions get worse. And so when we're under stress of being caregivers, and those of you, and I'm talking as a gerontologist. I've talked to other colleagues that work in the Alzheimer's Association, that work for APS. They are having issues with their parents, and they digress. They get stressed out. It's frustration. It's ego. We're not getting our needs met. So I've had to find things in my life that I love to do. And I ask each of you to start thinking about what that is. I've really started to identify. So I love to fish. I'm a saltwater fisher person. I love to fish. I love baseball, so I try to go to baseball as much as I can. Kids, high school, college, Mission, San Antonio, I don't care. I love baseball. I'll go watch girls play softball at the universities in San Antonio. I'll do any of that stuff. I love to play video games, I know. But it's very good for your brain. It really is, by the way. I love to read. I read voraciously. I love to read. But then I thought, I need something different. So I started to play guitar very badly. And I love that. And I love to shop thrift stores and Goodwill. So I started to shop for unfinished embroidery projects. Does that make sense? Someone who didn't quite finish that flower or that barn or that. And now I've bought all this crap. Now I'm a hoarder. I've bought all this stuff. Another problem to add to my already addictive nature. I've added all this stuff, and I have all this stuff, and now I'm going to finish. And then what? I don't know. I'm just going to give it back to Goodwill when it's done. I have no idea. But the point is that I realized that I need to finish something. Because when I'm with my mother, I can't finish anything with her. It doesn't seem to finish or end or be. It doesn't have it like the Warner Brothers bunny coming out the end saying, the end, it's over. It just has like, this is going to go on forever at the end of it. This is never going to end. So I realized that I unconsciously did the embroidery so that I could finally finish something. Feel a sense of completion. We try to do those things like, that you'll go get a manicure and a pedicure and a haircut and go fishing, go play golf, whatever it is you're going to do, but it doesn't seem to really be enough. I think we have to take it steps further within ourselves. We have to ask ourselves, I realize that maybe this is not how we plan to be spending these days of our lives, if you will. Maybe not. No, I mean, in a perfect world, it would be exactly the way we want it to be. Right? But it's not. It's not exactly the way we want it to be. It's the way that it is. And learning to live in that particular moment for yourself. Take on, one thing that I realize is even though I love to hobby. I love hobbies. I love it. I like to garden. I love it. But I needed something different. As long as they're not playing Monopoly, I'm happy. Anger is lasting animosity and resentment. What's happening? Lasting animosity and resentment. You know what? You have people in your family, I do, that have been mad at each other for 26 years. And when you ask them, now, why were you and Vega upset with each other? No. I think it was because, I don't know. Seriously? And anger to me is what's destroying our physical and mental bodies. And anger to me is the base of emotion for most caregivers. underneath all of the stuff, you're angry. I'm angry. I really am. I told somebody the other day, I understand now why it's not a good idea for everybody to have a handgun. I think I understand the upcoming laws changing. Y'all are not going to be witnesses in my murder trial, or you know. But I'm just telling you that I understand. Sometimes I'm so angry. And do y'all not feel that way? Don't you feel some of that anger? That resentment? You know, I think that when we moved my mother, it was hard. And that's a house that we grew up in for the most part. She and my dad lived there forever. Myself and one of my friends, she was just very helpful. She helped me move her out. My nieces helped me one day. And my brother and sister were just not present. I think my sister was having a hard time. My brother is just, you know, just call me when the renters move in and I can pick up the check. Last week my mother said, the only one who helped me move from that house was your brother. I was driving back from Eagle Pass from the casino and I thought, no one would know what happened if we went off this road. No one. They'll think, oh, pobrecitas, they had a car accident and whatever. No one would know that I intentionally killed myself and my mother. I did. I wanted to run off the road. And I just started driving and I felt the tears well up in my eyes and I thought, what is it what is going on? Why do I need her to acknowledge the fact that I have worked my tail off these last 3 years to get her where she is right now? Me. Even my brother and sister will say, God, I don't know why she gives me credit. I didn't do nothing. You have to ask yourself those very questions. We're the ones saying we don't really want to, we can do it better, but yet I still feel this whole sense of control. These are the things that I'm experiencing. Unwillingness to forgive. Oh my gosh. I'm good at forgiving, but I am not good at forgetting. And I need to start doing both. And I don't mean I don't want to have Alzheimer's, but maybe that's what it's going to take, is Alzheimer's, just for me to get through this slide. I'm like, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. Let's go to the next slide. Maybe she's got something else in there I can do. This settled determination to make them pay. Wait a minute. I had a therapist one time used to call it delusional vindictiveness. Make up stuff in your head that they want to happen to them. That the IRS would come into their house and do an audit the last 10 years of their records. Just something. I used to tell people, I don't want anything bad to happen to that person. I don't want them to die. I just want them to wish they were dead. Oh, I don't really. Sometimes I do. So, now what we got is we've got this anger, and then the person we've been caring for dies, and now what do we have? Baggage. Baggage that we take into our other relationships, baggage that we take to work, baggage that we take with our kids, baggage that we take everywhere. Baggage. Scary. Baggage is scary. We all have it. We think we only have a few suitcases on the day we get married, but really we have like you call trailers full of baggage. One thing I notice about gender differences, I notice that men seem to, what I've noticed in men and women I've worked with in my career, men handle anger differently than women do. Women love to hang on to it. It's not going anywhere. And when I need to use it again, I'm going to use it again. Men, when they get mad at each other, they're like, next thing you know, they're having a beer together to talk about something else. Not women. Oh, no. It takes us as long as it takes our fingernails to grow to start to decide if we're even going to let go of the anger. So we begin to destroy ourselves internally, emotionally, and mentally. And then we tell them, it's your fault, I'm like this. It is, it's your fault. How else could it be anybody else's fault? We've got problems. How many of you are relating to what I'm talking about? I just need to see a show of hands so I don't feel alone here. Okay, good. And the rest of you are lying? Yeah. We talked about that. Unwilling. All of this stuff we're bringing with us. It becomes part of our luggage. So now, we were unwilling to forgive, and now we're just going to continue to be unwilling to forgive. It's like when we say, no, I don't want anything for Valentine's Day. Let's just give each other a beautiful card. We'll stay home and eat pizza. The other night, we're like, I believe you really just took my word for it. I can't believe you really just didn't think about getting me something. Not something. A cubic zirconium bracelet or something. Nothing from Kay's, nothing from Kohl's. Nothing. Fondue said nothing. We like to make them pay for it.
Yes.
Unresolved hurts, whether they're real or imagined. We make up stuff that happens too in our. I'm telling you, you lay in bed and you go, I know what they're thinking. I know what they're thinking. This is what they're thinking. This is what they said. This is what they're going to do. And we wake up in the morning and we're mad. And none of it has happened. But we've decided that it happened. And we believe it, and no one can tell us any different. So now we got to go open up our luggage and put more crap in there. Close it. More baggage for the next poor soul that comes to talk to us. Worldview. Learn patterns. We start to see what others do with anger and how, we just decided it's going to become part of our daily lives. Once we decide on something, like even if we're talking about politics or religion or history, once we decide something, no one's going to change our minds. No one is. We have to decide to do that ourselves and to think outside of that box. Because it is a learned pattern. I bet, how many of you fold your towels in a square, bath towels? How many of you get your towels, you fold them in half, you know what I'm talking about? Then you fold them in half again, and then you fold them in half again, I think, until it's, I don't know anything about math, but let's just say until it's a square. How many times have you folded half? I have no idea. Okay, I'm not a math professor, I'm a gerontologist. I just forget everything I teach. You have it, right? And how many of you fold it like in a little longer ways, where it's kind of, or roll it? How many of you roll it? Okay. How many of you roll your towels? Okay. How many of you fold them like in a long way? How many of you have them in a square? Okay. I think the only way you should fold a towel is in a square. But how many of you have the toilet paper roll over? How many of you think it should roll under? Does it bug you when it's under?
Yes.
See, what is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? That's what I'm talking about. This is why we're going, I don't know why I'm so stressed out. I don't know why I can't, I'm just such a, all this stuff is stressing me out. I don't know why I'm still having stress being a caregiver, because everything else is in the baggage. We have to take care of our luggage before we can take care of someone else. And then when we're taking care of them and we're so stressed out from taking care of them, we have to take care of ourselves. We always have to take care of ourselves first. And as Hispanics and as women, I'm sorry, men, but women traditionally, this is what's happening. We always think we're taking care of everybody else first. And somewhere down the line, after we fed the roaches, then we feed ourselves. Then we take care of ourselves. Then we're like, and then we tell everybody that we just did that. I never take care of myself first. I always take care of everybody else. Well, hello? Whose problem is that? You didn't do anything to change it. Then your husband's right there going, well, do it. Just do what you want. Do what you know. But then, and then I go away, and then you can't do things right, and the kids are a mess, and now, you know, everybody will be dead when I come home. No, you can't take care of it. Your spouse, your significant other, they can do it. Your sister, your brother, bring people in. That's what I tell caregivers. When I was working in Uvalde, I was telling Jenny, I still have this woman from years ago that still sends me emails. But what happened with her is she was in the session, just like this, not a session, I feel like I'm in therapy, I feel like I need a drink. Y'all need to have a drink? Anyway, she said, every Saturday my daughter brings over my grandchildren. And she's caring for her husband who has Alzheimer's 24/7. And she drops the 3 of them off and then says goodbye, and she goes shopping and she goes with her friends. I'm like, hello, you know what? Next Friday, after your daughter gets home from work, I made her promise that she would do it, and she did it. I want you to take your husband. I want you to drop him off at her house. And I want you to leave, that's her father, I want you to leave him there all weekend and say, I got things to do. I'm going shopping, I'm going whatever. And she did it. Her daughter never dropped the kids off again. How about that idea? And not only that, does that have alcohol in it? Because that's what I'm referring to. Thank you, Jane. A little bourbon, perfect. Anyway, anything. So I think that in those particular cases, sometimes we're angry because even though we think other people should come forward and say, why do I have to call them? Why do I have to ask them? Why do I have to tell them? They should know that I'm here taking care of them, and they don't come over. You know what? You need to call them. You need to call them. Because you know what? You're waiting for the sea to part. You're waiting for Moses to come and part the sea. Because that's what it's going to take, a miracle, to get anybody to come forward. Because as long as they can hide in their house and go, oh my gosh, please don't call me, please don't call me, please don't call me, please don't call me. And you don't call them. And now you're resenting and you're angry and you're mad. And then when something happens, they're going to tell you how to do it. Well, see, you know what, I think this is what should happen. And then you're really mad. Oh yeah, you're not here all the time, and all of a sudden you're like the gerontologist who walks in the house to tell us how things need to get done. You have to speak up. You have to take responsibility and say what you need. And here's where it gets really sticky. You want to hear this part? Let me take a drink. I'll pretend like it's got bourbon. I don't smoke, but I feel like having a cigarette. Anyway. You know, there's special times when a cigarette is really nice. Although this is we're going to keep this show clean. But you need to do a lot of that too. That really helps with the stress. I just want to say. Anyway, so here's where it gets sticky. Now we've got people helping us. And you know where we mess up? We don't think they're doing it right. Hasta eso. I mean, ¿te das pan y quieres leche? Now we've got them working for us, and now we don't think they're doing it right. And we tell them that. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, because that's not how your father likes it. That's not how your mother likes it. That's not how your grandmother likes it. This is how they like it. Leave it alone. And when someone says to you, you know what, get out of your house. Going to HEB for 45 minutes to get groceries is not getting out of the house. Get out of the house. Get far away. Drive somewhere. Drive until you feel their spirit leave your body. Exercise yourself from that possession. Okay, that's a new, that's good. That was new. I like it. I'll have to figure that one out, Jenny, for the next presentation. Exercise yourself with the possession, where you can just take a deep breath, because you know what? It's going to take more than a drive. It's going to take more than one day. I have friends that say, I go on vacation, but by the 5th day, finally I start to relax. And then I come home the 6th day. Girl, man, the minute I drive off, I am relaxed. Because I'm like, it is all behind me. You have to either learn how to do it quickly and get the heck out of Dodge. Figure out, too, where you want to go. Go see an old friend. Just go rent a hotel room in Heronville for a weekend. I don't know where. I don't know where y'all go. Just go somewhere for the weekend just to get the heck out. Get a massage therapist to come in and give you a massage in the hotel room. I mean, you know, a legal thing, you know. and do something like that. Do something that you really want. Don't think about. Go to a baseball game. I don't know. What do y'all like? I don't know what y'all like to do. You know what you like to do. Do it. Go to take a class at college, something fun, some kind of fun college class, something, anything. Go to the Middle East and figure out what's going on over there and tell the president and we can get it taken care of. Do something different. I mean, it's just, you have to figure that out. And whatever you do, don't go somewhere that's stressful. I mean, you know, where you're like, you know, I tell people, they like to go on those trips where their whole schedule is planned on the vacation the whole week. 8 o'clock, 8:30, 8:35, 8:45, 9 o'clock, 9:15. I'm like, oh no. That would just make, if you're going on vacation with somebody like that, and they got to schedule the whole, there's another time that you don't need a gun during those times. Words, too, that we're hearing from the people we're caring for remind us of past hurts. Unresolved issues between you and the person you're caring for. Now, it may be too late. You're going to have to figure this out yourself. You're going to have to work through those hurts. You're going to go to therapy, get a counselor, do something. Talk to someone to work through those issues, because it may be too late to talk with them because they can't comprehend it any longer. That's a big issue, especially with a lot of adult children and parents. Sometimes we lash out, we hit them before they hit us. Remember, like we used to do when we were kids? Don't touch me, no, don't touch me, no, don't touch me, no, don't touch me. We do that. We lash out to avoid the pain. We know it's coming. We learn the wrong lessons. We keep doing the same thing over and over and over. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. You can change that. How much time do I have?
You have, let's see here, you have 22 minutes.
Okay, good. Our perception, I talked about laying in bed, making stuff up, affects our behavior. Okay, he's 20 minutes home late from work. He knew I was going to have dinner ready, and he's still not here. And he hasn't called, and he's not answering his text. I know what's happening. He walks in the door. He had a flat tire in the middle of the freeway, lost his phone, but you don't care, because you already decided that you knew what he was really doing. It doesn't matter. He's late for lunch, you made it up in your head, and you're mad. Your perception, now you're going to have to do all these things, negative thoughts, irrational beliefs, negative emotions. It affects your physical and mental health. My blood pressure usually runs like 120, believe it or not, over 78. When my mother comes over, it's like 172 over 100. It goes up. So my doctor said, well, I guess you can take high blood pressure medicine when your mom comes over. I'm like, no, I just need to learn how to manage it differently. That's my fault. Because right away when she walks in the door, I just feel like all of a sudden I get in the kung fu mode. Like this, waiting. Come on, lady, give it to me. I'm ready. I mean, I can't be in a kung fu mode every time she walks in the door. She's coming over this week. I mean, you know, oh my gosh. Sunday, Mother's Day, the whole thing. Oh, and then she tells me, On the phone, earlier, I was sitting back there, Belinda was back there with me, I said, my mother, she was throwing a big fit about something, about wanting to go to the bank with her caregiver. And we don't let her do that anymore because she forgets what she does with her money. So that was a big battle. And then caregiver, I said, remind her that I'm going to pick her up Sunday and she's going to spend the week with me. We're going to have Mother's Day together with my sister and her family. So she, caregiver told her, caregiver texted me back. She says, you don't have to pick her up because she knows you don't really like her. I said, what? I'm here at this conference too, listening to Dr. Longoria talk about all the things. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I said, I'll pick her up. Tell her I'll pick her up at this time on Sunday. I'll be there. So the caregiver writes me back, well, now you made her cry. How did I make her cry? I'm texting you. I'm texting you. I'm not even talking to my mother. I'm back there. A couple hours ago. Which is why I'm drinking bourbon in this Diet Coke. So we'll see if she's there when I go pick her up. Yeah, she'll be there with her suitcase the whole day. So let's talk about negative thoughts. This is another thing that begins. This becomes the icing on your cake for the foundation of negative perceptions already. Now the icing on the cake. Because I'm a true believer that if you say it over enough, that your mind begins unconsciously to believe it. And that's what you become. We do it with kids. My mother still reminds me of my skate key that I lost when I was 7 years old. No, I don't want you to have my house keys because one time you lost your skate key and we never found it. I'm 53. I was 7 when I lost my skate key. That's how old I am, skate keys, okay? Skate key. She still remembers. She doesn't remember anything else, but she knows that I lost that damn skate key. I cannot do anything right or properly. I'm a failure. I'm only sick. My future is hopeless. Nobody likes me. I am dull. What are the kinds of things that you're telling yourself about yourself? I'm not kidding. You have to force yourself. I say to myself every day, as many times as I can say it, healthy, wealthy, and successful. I don't know why, it just makes me feel better. I'm healthy, but I'm not wealthy or successful, so I kind of feel like I'm just going to move it along. But that's okay. 1 out of 3 isn't bad. I say those things because I want that for my life. I want that for my life and for my family and for people I know. You know, so I have to try to say those things. But you have to think about what are those chronic things you're saying about yourself. Years ago, I went to speak in Guadalajara at Bethesda University on caregiving. I had a translator because it's one thing to speak in Spanish in Texas, and another thing to speak in Spanish in Guadalajara. So I had a translator. And we had 212 participants, professors, staff, caregivers, everybody. And I asked this question. And there's not enough men in the room for me to ask this question for it to be significant. But there were a lot of men in that room. Probably half of them were men. Come with their wives and girlfriends and come together. And I asked them this question. If you had your wife's hand in one hand and your mother's hand in the other, whether she, your mother, if she's already deceased, but just think about your mother. And I know it's Mother's Day weekend, so bear with me. And they were both hanging off a cliff, and you could only save one. Who would you save? Guess who they picked? Mother. Only 2 men picked their wives, and that's only because their wives were bigger than them. This man came up to me afterwards and he said, he was crying. And he said, I cannot believe I could not pick my wife. And he said, I said, it's not a bad thing. I mean, that's what, there's a reason I said that. We were talking about the relationship between sons and their mothers. And he said, the thing is I can always replace my wife, but I cannot replace my mother. I mean, you know what? He just put it in perspective for me. I'm like, okay, that's cool. There were women that were leaving by themselves in the thing. They had left their husband. You walk home, man. You're walking home. Find a ride, son. Find a ride. And some people I was with, one of the women said that she had heard me do that talk at somewhere else, and she heard me refer to that, and the same thing happened in that room of men and women. And she said, I went home and I asked my husband, and I said, what did he say? She said, you picked his mother. I mean, these, you know, I think that the thing is that becomes the other story when you become the caregiver for your husband's mother as the daughter-in-law. That those are the kind of things you have to think about, those relationships. Even though he's not doing much, you know, for the most part, you're the active caregiver. He might be a caregiver in a different way, doing different types of support, but he's still a caregiver. All relationships have good and bad times. Up and down, seesaw, bowling, depending on the extent of the anger. Long-term commitments, change in relationships, whether it's illness or mental illness, Alzheimer's, no matter what it is, death, loss, tragedies, it all takes adjustment. It takes time to figure out how you're going to do it. You have to figure out how to reduce that stress even when things are getting really bad. And if you feel like you're at a point where you can't do it any longer, and let me just tell you this whole thing. It is not your responsibility to be a martyr. Do you know, don't you know there are caregivers, a lot of caregivers really struggle with martyrdom. Do you agree with that? They really feel like, I married him or married her for sickness, you know, what's that thing y'all say? Something like that? I don't know, y'all say something to get married, but I just know what the dollar dance is, that's all I know. I just know what happens with the ball cuts. I don't know nothing about better or worse. Don't label. Don't decide this is how they are and label them. She's a hater. She's a hater. That's what she is. She's a liar. She's manipulative. Forget the past. Do everything you can. Don't hoard complaints. Oh, there they go again. They told me something else they didn't like. I'm not going to forget it. Where is my notebook? Let me see. This is tablet number 472. Today's May 10th. She said this. You just wait. I'm going to come back and haunt you with that. Oh my gosh. Think about hoarding complaints. That's a lot. Oh my gosh, we're so good at that. Think before you speak. This has been my new rule for about 6 minutes. Think before you speak. The gum thing really helped me. But grab onto something. Pinch your finger till you're about to pass out. Do something to stop yourself from just spitting it out. And then you go, oh, no, that was bad. And now you've helped be a part of that. Walk away from people, don't say anything. Just try to kill them with kindness and go to therapy and, I don't know, start drinking, I don't know, eat some tacos, I don't know what to tell you. Just figure out whatever it is that works for you. Everybody wins when you try to manage it this way. And here's the thing, if you don't want to do any of these things, I guarantee you you're angry beyond belief. Because there are some of you going, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing it. It's really their fault. That's just crap. That's like that, self-helpful stuff. That stuff doesn't work. The only thing that works is for me to be mad and to keep my list of things that you've done. That works for me. Until you do it my way and come apologize to me for everything you've done and will do again and after you're dead. And then I'll maybe, I'll take the label off. Maybe. Maybe I won't call you a hater anymore. Maybe. Play well with others. I'm going to tell y'all, flexibility. Oh my gosh. As a caregiver, if you're not flexible, you're in trouble. You have to be able to just go with the flow. But you can't go with the flow if you're stressed out of your mind. You can't be flexible if you're stressed out of your mind because you're not doing anything to manage it, right? If you're stressed, none of this is going to work. You've got to go and take that little break. And then I've heard caregivers say, Yvonne, I've taken that break. And then I come back and it's the same old thing. Well, it doesn't have to be the same old thing with you. It doesn't. I told people those moments in my life when I've taken the higher road, there is no traffic. It's like driving, you don't see anybody for miles. It's a lonely place to be. But at the end of the day, you'll feel so much better. Don't you just kind of not like it when someone's here telling you, take the high road, be a better person, improve your character, blah, 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 go to Weight Watchers, the whole bit. And you're like, okay, yeah, right. That'll last for about 45 minutes after the new year. But you know, is it because we want to be angry and upset and frustrated? Do y'all really want that? I don't want that. I want to just be at peace, and whatever that means. Whatever that means for the short period of time that I can experience that, whatever it means. If we're trying to change everybody else, I have a niece that's going to be 21, and she's the oldest niece. My sister told me the other day, she had a long talk with me, and she said, I'm having a hard time not telling her what to do. Because she's a junior, almost a senior in college. She said, she's making some decisions now, it's driving me crazy. And I said, you've just got to not do it. So I talked to my sister. We had a really nice talk, a long talk, and she said, you're right, I've been really trying. I'm just going to go scream somewhere. I said, just distract yourself, go scream somewhere else. So what happens? My niece calls me and shares with me some of the stuff she's going to do about her job, and I'm like, seriously, you're going to do that? Why are you going to do that? So I'm like, oh my gosh! I just told my sister, not to do that, and I'm over here doing it to this poor girl. I'm like, you know what? Forget it, Sullivan, that I said anything. It's just in our nature. We can't shut up. I can't shut up. It's a control, it's all this stuff that you hear about on Oprah when she used to be on. I miss her, that's why I'm out of shape here, man. I'm out of control. I need her back. Doesn't work. Pulling together. Shared decision making. Force your siblings or your whoever, or daughters or relatives, to make the decision with you so it doesn't all fall on you. Because nobody wants to take the final responsibility. Because when something happens, they can go, see, it was her. She did it. I didn't tell her. She did it all.
What if that doesn't work?
What do you mean?
You share responsibility, but they don't want to share responsibility.
Then you get that in writing, that they choose not to be. No, you think it's funny. But I would get a contract and say, I choose not to share the decision responsibility. But I will not hold you accountable for any decisions you make. Sign here. Get your iPhone out. Take some pictures. Video. I'm serious. It sounds funny, but that's what I will do. Because if they're not going to take responsibility, then you need it in writing. Then you need to be power of attorney, medical, durable power of everything. You need to take forward. If I'm going to be fully responsible, then I want to take control of everything. I need to be in charge of all of that, not just certain things. If I'm going to go get the mail, I need to open the mail. I can't just go get the mail. Because you don't want to walk down the driveway. So I have to do both. So that's kind of what you have to set those standards. This is what's going to happen. And let me tell you, do you know the worst and most complicated relationship for caregivers is not the person they're caring for. It's siblings. Because adult children just lose their mind. We lose our mind with each other. All of a sudden, we're like 7 and 8 years old and go, no, mine, no, mine, no, mine. Get out of here. You're ugly. I don't like you. Get up. All of a sudden, we just like start fighting like that. Oh my gosh. I know what you said. I know what you think. I think I said. It's true, but you have to just be very businesslike. When we moved my mother out of the house, we had a family meeting. The first family meeting we've ever had in our whole life, except one time when the Cowboys lost and the TV. We had a family meeting. We're big Cowboys fanatics. So we had a family meeting, and I asked my mother. I had recorded. I have it on tape. With one of these caregiver conferences I could ever get with Jenny and them to let them know about it, I want to show this meeting. And so I asked my mother in the tape, Mom, who do you want to live with? I want to live with Robert and Lisa. That's my brother, of course. She wants to live in the mansion. Do you want to live with me, Mom? She reaches over to reach the tape. Hell no! I was just asking. And now, the only reason I'm living with your brother is because you and your sister didn't ask me. Hello, look. There, look. That's your nephew playing soccer. Okay, look again. It doesn't matter. I told her I had it, and here's what I did. What did I tell her? Mom, I have it on tape. You were recording me? Did I know you were recording me? I don't think that's right that you were recording me. Oh my gosh, I thought, why did I say that? I needed gum. I said it. But I tell you what, I have it on tape. Wait, we already did that. Is that over? Oh. Do these steps really work? All the things I just mentioned. All the beautiful things I just mentioned. The beautiful things. Oh my gosh, I need to learn how to use this thing. Where am I? The truth is there are no steps. Because every day is different. The only thing you can do is try to figure out what you have to do for yourself at that moment. Live in that moment. Every hour, every moment, it's up to you. That's a lot. But there are some things you can do to protect yourself. Like now what we have is we have a calendar. Every 30 days we get together. We have an iPhone calendar. Everybody pick the weekends that you can get Mom. Pick the days you can do the doctors. Pick this and pick that. And everybody has to write. Everybody has the same amount of time. And everybody has to commit to it. And that's the end of that. If we don't do that, everybody disappears like roaches when the lights come on. I don't know why I talk about roaches so much today. Y'all are going to think I live in filth. There really are no roaches. But, I mean, there are roaches, but you know. I'm sure there's roaches in my house somewhere, but I don't see them. Anyway, maybe more because I don't have a cat anymore. So you have to ask yourself who you are every day. I know this sounds corny, it sounds very Oprah, you know, but you have to ask yourself that question. And how do you want, I ask myself every morning, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel today? And how can I make sure I feel that way at the end of the day? You have to ask yourself that. Which one are you? What's your reality? I've had experiences of all those three things before. How about y'all? I mean, that's how very stressful it can all get for us caregivers. Any thoughts or questions? Yes, Jenny.
Do you find that after all the training and education and all the experience that you have and now the experience you have with your mom, do you find it helpful that you actually share stories, that you talk about it, that you find out, you know, that you get to express this? Do you think that helps?
Yes. Yes, and yes. For one thing, it's free therapy, I don't have to pay anybody. The second thing is that every time I talk about it, I remind myself of how silly I am sometimes. And I also remind myself of the things that I'm not doing to take care of myself. And that means not just the things, like, exercising, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about just enjoying my life. And talking about it to people. Laughing about it to people in support groups and therapy sessions and meetings like this, and getting together helps me tremendously. That I can now deal with Mom on Sunday. And I think that, I feel a tremendous amount of emotions when I talk about it, even as a speaker. I can feel my throat sometimes lumping up just talking about it, even just now. Because I think that it's so stressful and painful for me sometimes. It's very painful. My mom was a very strong, obviously, I took, her and my grandmother, oh my gosh. She was a very strong woman, and she worked in the cafeteria in the school district for years until she almost cut her hand off. And then she got a job as a secretary. The principal was like, I need a secretary, you want to be the principal? Okay. So she became the secretary's principal, and she ran the whole school. Literally. I think she ran the whole school. For her, this is a tremendous loss. It was more painful to her, like I told you earlier, for her to know that she had dementia than when she had cancer, that she has cancer. And I feel really sorry for her that she's experiencing this. I feel a tremendous amount of, and I know you feel that too. You feel sorry for them. You feel their pain. You don't know what it would be like. But that doesn't negate the fact that you're under a tremendous amount of stress.
A friend of mine I was telling you this, and then just a year or two ago, a friend of mine was saying, what could be worse, having cancer or having Alzheimer's? And I'm like, I would much rather have cancer. Much rather have cancer,
Yeah.
And it's, you think about it, it's wow,
My mother has a secret that she has Alzheimer's. She doesn't want anybody in the family to know, any friends to know. She'll tell everybody she's got cancer.
She won't say she has Alzheimer's.
But it's not long before she starts talking that you realize that something's not quite right.
Right.
But still, that's her choice, But y'all have to find people, even if, I call it 3 o'clock in the morning friends. Do you have 3 o'clock in the morning friends? Do you have at least 3 friends? I'm talking besides your spouses, because you wake them up, there's a big fight, it's like, yeah, what's going to happen? So you don't do that. But I'm talking about 3 in the morning friends that you can pick up the phone and go, oh my God, please, I need somebody to talk to or come over. And I'll tell you, women are better at it than men. Men need to find those 3 o'clock in the morning friends too, and the women need to let them go hang out with them. FYI. Not at the strip club, not anything like that. Don't take advantage of it like, oh, well, Dr. Lozano said I should go to the strip club because that makes me feel better. No, you did not hear that from me. But you've got to figure out, the men need to figure out people that you can talk with, male friends, female friends, whoever, that you can do what I've done today as a speaker. The other thing is, it's really funny, some of the stuff. It really is. I mean, it's a very serious disease. There's not anything to laugh at in regard to the disease. But in regard to our behavior and helping to manage the disease, it's all funny.
You got to find out the truth.
You have to find laughter through the tears, exactly right. And I think that's, like my mother's best friend for 40-something years has Alzheimer's. They are best friends forever. She got diagnosed a year ago. But the other day I asked my mother, because she mentioned her name is Joyce. I said, Mom, she goes, you think about Joyce? She goes, yeah. She said, I think we should go see her, but she has Alzheimer's and I don't like to be around those people. I'm like, okay. But I think, it's a way of coping, and it's a way of her to stay in denial, And I will leave Jenny and Belinda Alzheimer's Association has my information, and I'd be glad to come down and do any talks, because it's free therapy for me. And I'll be glad to come down and talk again and do another segment, and any topics that you have that you want to hear more about. Illegal topics, what can I do about paperwork? Not illegal, did I say illegal? Or legal topics, we can go from there.
Would you consider doing talk for teenagers?
Yeah, I talk to kids who are working with dementia, with also, yeah. I do that. Now, I can tell you, I won't talk to a whole school, because I went to the junior high once to talk about elderly, and that was the worst experience I ever had in my whole life. And I said, this is why I never had any of you. This is why I never got pregnant. This is why I never won anything. You all are scary. It was scary to be in that junior high. They were scary. I said, I'm here today to talk about grandparenting. Oh yeah, whatever, miss. Get out of here, stupid. And, it's horrible. I'll talk to 2 or 3 at a time. It's safe. They scare me. Life is full of choices. You have a choice of how you want to feel and live and be. Now, you may not have a choice about being a caregiver, but how you experience that experience is up to you. And that's not, I don't know, what you have to think about. I mean, maybe it's not what we all want to hear. It may be easier if someone gave us a pill and we're like, okay, now I feel better. And there are pills that will do that.
When my dad was sick, I had a really big power struggle with my siblings about, I'm the oldest, so I always feel like I have to take care of everybody. But they never wanted to help. And I was always angry and the resentment and until I realized, and my mom would always tell me, and she was right, you can't worry about what they're doing or not doing, you can only worry about what you're doing.
That's right.
And until I learned that and accepted that, that's when I said, okay. And I was better about myself because I was always angry at them. But they never changed their behavior. And I was the one that was angry getting sick. So until I realized I can only control what I do, I can't not worry about what they're not doing. And that's when it got better.
And we've had, one of the things is I'm going to share in one of my next presentations too, is the texts that we send each other. And some of them, they get crazy. And I'm like, we got to be careful what we're putting down even in the texting. Because it gets ugly. The big exclamation points, seriously, oh my God, really? I mean, oh my gosh. I'm like, we got to start talking about texting. Angry caregiver texting syndrome. Hey, that's a new one. I need to try to get that patented. Angry caregiver texting syndrome. This is you have 2 choices in life. It's a Bob Dylan song, also in Shawshank Redemption. Quote, get busy living or get busy dying. And you have to ask yourself which one you are. And this music, I don't have music today, but it's supposed to go with the YMCA thing. But y'all have been great, and I hope that you can laugh some more this weekend and think about some things. Think about something different. Go buy undone embroidery jobs and try to finish them. Go buy a painting that's not finished and try to finish it, then give it back to Goodwill. I don't know what you're going to do with it. But try to figure out something else that's part of you, that's really part of you, that makes you feel like you're doing something for you. Not the caregiver you, but you, your personality, yourself, who you are. Y'all have been great. Thank you for having me here. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Dr. Lozano, thank you very much for coming down and for speaking.
Glad to be here.
And I want to present you a token of our appreciation.
Thanks.
Thanks
very
again,
nice.
Dr. Lozano. Oh my goodness. Okay.
I don't know how much of that
I want
goes.
everyone
Turn the
in
other
this
direction.
room to stand up, stretch, get some oxygen, move those legs of yours. We're going to take a 20-minute break. We have snacks out the door. Go ahead and grab you something, and then we'll resume with our next speaker in about 20 minutes or so.
As I walked out in the streets of Laredo, as I walked out in Laredo one day, I spied a poor cowboy wrapped up wrapped up in white linen and cold as the clay. I see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words he did say as I